How familiar are you with coffee? On a scale of 1 to 10, and for how long have you known about coffee?
Um, I kind of dabbled with drinking coffee in high school, probably sophomore year, so like 16 years old. So I guess I've been familiar with coffee for like 5 years. I'd say an 8 on the scale of 1 to 10.
Okay. What was your first expression, or what was your first impression of coffee when you were 16?
At first, I would try my dad's coffee, and he drank it like very dark, nothing in it, and I thought it was really gross. Then I started playing around with like creamers and sugar and stuff, and it made it taste a lot better.
Overall, how satisfied are you with currently available coffee? Use a numeric or satisfaction scale of 1 to 7.
Of 1 to 7,
Yes. 7 being all satisfied, extra satisfied, and 1 being not at all.
I feel like there are a lot of options right now for what kind of coffee you want to drink, like hot, iced, dark with lots of sugars. I'd say I'm like a 6 satisfied.
Okay. Are there specific brands of coffee you like the most?
I do like drinking Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts just because I know exactly like what to order and that I'll like it. Instead of having to just order like a blonde roast and like not know what it's gonna be. So yeah, I guess those are my favorite.
Now, do you like those coffee shops, or have you tried at all their blends that they sell at retail stores as well?
So I do the shops even though it's more expensive and I just like it being made for me. But a lot of the times I buy like those K-cup packets or boxes that you can get at the grocery store, and then I already know which ones to buy because if I'm buying like the Dunkin' K-cups, I know what kind I drink at Dunkin', which is nice.
Are there any brands that you do not like at all? And if so, can you explain?
I'm not a huge fan of Collectivo coffee just because it's like the options are different, so it's harder to like order. It's not as like straightforward as what I order at Dunkin' or Starbucks, so I usually just get a tea there. I also don't really like Cafe Castello because that's like a darker, more like Spanish coffee brand. It's for people that like have a strong taste for coffee, in my opinion.
Okay. What specific features of currently available coffee impressed you?
When I'm looking at features of coffee, I'm looking for the brand and price usually. The brands that I like the most are usually the most expensive, but I do like when the packaging and like it just looks like it's gonna be a good drink.
Okay. What features of currently available coffee disappointed you?
When I pay a lot for coffee and then I don't like it, so when the flavor doesn't or the quality doesn't match the cost, that's always disappointing.
What, if anything, do you find frustrating or unappealing about currently available coffee?
I guess again with the cost, sometimes I find one that I really like, but it doesn't come in like a K cup of, or like they don't have the flavor that I like in that brand, and so that kind of stinks.
Do you tend to drink more coffee in the shops, or do you prefer to make it at home?
I like to just have it made for me and like ready, but I like when I'm at school throughout the day, I always just throw one in the Keurig and make it myself. But When you buy it in the shops, they like already have all the creamers and sugars like there. I didn't have to bring it with, which is nice. It's just more expensive.
What are the occasions when you consume coffee?
In the morning and then like a kind of late afternoon pick me up sometimes.
On those occasions, when a coffee was not within your reach, what other but similar products did you consume?
I'm not a soda drinker, but I do like some kinds of tea. Not as much as coffee, but it is still nice to have like a hot drink. And yeah, I guess that would be the closest replacement.
How often do you drink coffee per day?
I'd say like once or twice a day.
Once or twice?
Probably less on weekends because I don't have to be like as awake and alert as I do during the weekday, like running around getting stuff done.
How likely would you be to recommend a coffee to a family member or friend on a scale of 1 to 7, 1 being very unlikely or 7 very likely?
I actually get a lot of the coffees that I drink through recommendations and like try new places and new drinks because my friends tell me to. So I'd probably be very likely to suggest to a friend as well if I found one that I really liked or there was like a new thing that came out. What was the scale?
1 to 7.
I'd say 7.
Okay. If you would recommend a coffee, what would you say to convince your best friend to purchase the coffee?
That it's worth the money. And I guess it would depend on the friend because some friends really like the coffee taste, but if they were friends that, like me, like the caffeine and like, I like the coffee taste, but not like a super strong coffee taste, so I would say like, oh, it's worth the cost and it actually tastes good.
If you would not recommend a coffee, what would you say to convince your best friend not to buy the coffee?
Not worth the money. It doesn't taste good. That would probably convince them just saying that much. Or I would say like, I recommend this instead, like a different one.
Okay. What words would you use to describe your ideal coffee? What specific features do you consider to be the most important in an ideal coffee and why?
I actually feel like you can taste when a coffee is not as fresh. Like if somebody has a big pot of like coffee grinds and it's been a while, it doesn't taste as fresh. So I like that. I like when you can make your own iced coffee out of it. So I like hot coffee, but then sometimes I like the stuff where you can throw creamer in and throw it on ice and it also tastes good.
Okay. Thank you very much for participating in this interview. That's all.